Just promise me one thing, Cass, my sister said, her eyes shining brighter than the cheap string lights over the bar. Leighton held up the acceptance letter, the Yale letterhead looking ridiculously formal in the dim, sticky air of the dive. Tomorrow we celebrate, just you and me, Splash Kingdom. I wiped down a beer ring from the counter, the motion mechanical, right? Celebrate, I muttered, the word tasting like ash. You get the Ivy League, I get to clean up after guys who think Tip is a city in China. Her smile faltered for a second. That's not fair. No, I agreed, tossing the rag into the dirty water. It's not, but I looked at her, my brilliant, impossible little sister, and the bitterness subsided into a familiar, weary ache. Yeah, okay, Lee, Splash Kingdom it is. I had no idea it was a promise I'd spend the rest of my life trying to keep, or that for her, tomorrow had already happened 100 times before. I just arrived at Splash Kingdom when I got the text from the unknown number. Do not get in the water. Do not get in the water. There are life-threatening parasites in the water. You will die. I pulled back the foot I was about to dip into the wave pool. I tried calling the number back, but a synthesized voice on the other end said, "We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service." A summer heatwave and a sudden chill ran down my spine. What the hell? How can a disconnected number send a text? And what was that about deadly parasites? I knelt by the edge of the pool, peering into the water. Sure, everyone knew water parks were basically giant petri dishes, chlorinated to hell and back. Unclean, yes, but infested? The water was crystal clear. I couldn't see a single strand of hair, let alone a bug. Still, those texts were undeniably creepy. Cass, what are you staring at? Aren't you coming in? Leighton, already in her swimsuit, was bouncing on the balls of her feet, eager to dive in. Instinctively, I grabbed her arm. I think I have heat stroke. It's too hot. Maybe we should just go home. I wanted to tell myself it was just a sick prank, but a thorn of anxiety had lodged itself in my heart. Leighton's face fell. No way, I just finished my finals. I need to blow off some steam. I heard there's this insane slide, the Kraken's Revenge. You'd love it. My patience frayed. I said, let's just go. My words were cut off by a scream from the center of the pool, then another from the top of the slide, and another from the lazy river. One after another, a chorus of agony erupted across the park. What's going on? People on the shore started jumping into the water to get a better look. Leighton tried to pull away, but I held her wrist in a death grip. Don't go. There might be. The words life-threatening parasites flashed in my mind, magnified and terrifying. Suddenly, right before our eyes, the screaming people convulsed, their bodies shriveled, blood turning their skin a bruised purple as if sucked dry from the inside out, and from beneath them writhing masses of white, flesh-like worms, each the size of a forearm, began to pour out, thick, obscene, and terrifyingly numerous. The group that had just jumped into Gawk saw it too. They turned and swam for the shore in a panic, but it was too late. The flesh worms, sensing fresh hosts, swarmed toward them, slithering through the water and forcing their way into the swimmers' open mouths. Help, help me. The wider they opened their mouths to scream, the more worms crawled inside. The scene sent a wave of nausea through me, my scalp tingling with horror. The people in the water looked like drowning ghosts, clawing their way to land. The people on the land were a chaotic mob, screaming and running in every direction. I didn't think, I just grabbed Leighton and ran with the crowd towards the park's main exit, but the massive gates were shut tight, sealed with a newly erected electric fence that sparked ominously. A cold, robotic voice echoed from the park speakers. Due to an unforeseen incident at Splash Kingdom and to ensure public safety, the park is now under a temporary but total lockdown. We ask for your patience and understanding. That announcement was like throwing gasoline on a fire. The crowd exploded. Understanding? Screw your understanding. Open the damn gate. If you don't, we'll break it down. A dozen or so agile men scrambled up the fence, only to be thrown back by a violent jolt of electricity. Every single one of them. More and more people escaped the pools, their bodies trembling, their faces masks of terror. They knelt before the gate, begging the staff for a shred of mercy, but the speakers remained silent. Shit. I gave up on the gate and pulled Leighton back into the park, away from the desperate crowd. Luckily, we quickly found a gift shop, the sunken treasure. We scrambled inside with a dozen other survivors to keep the flesh worms out, or whatever was controlling the infected people. We locked the glass door from the inside. Once we were sure we were temporarily safe, a collective sigh of relief filled the small space, but our reprieve was short-lived. Outside, we watched in horror as many of the people who had escaped the water began to chase down those who had never gone in. When they caught someone, they acted like vampires, sinking their teeth into their victims' necks and ripping open their arteries. They drank the gushing blood with a grotesque look of satisfaction on their faces. They didn't stop until their victims were drained, their bodies turning into blackened, desiccated husks. A sour taste filled my mouth. I spat on the floor. Jesus Christ, what are these things? Leighton started crying, hiding behind me and clutching my shirt. Cass, remember that post on Reddit? On our /conspiracy? It said some bioagent from a lab Omnigen I think had leaked in the state. Do you think this could be it? I pondered for a moment, then irritably pulled out my phone and redialed the number. Still disconnected. On a desperate whim, I sent a text, but it failed to deliver. Damn it. So what now? Was I supposed to just wait for this ghost number to contact me again? And by then, would Leighton and I even be alive? Suddenly, a pair of blood-soaked hands slapped against the glass door. A pregnant woman was on her knees outside, sobbing, please, please let me in. I'm so scared. I knew Leighton had a soft heart. She'd see this woman and want to help, so I grabbed her hand before she could move. If we open that door now, what happens if one of those infected things gets in? We'll all die. My stark words seemed to shock her into stillness. She opened her mouth, then closed it, saying nothing. Just then, a pretty girl with a kind face stepped forward, frowning at me. How can you be so cold? She's pregnant. What if those monsters get her? As she moved to unlock the door, I slammed my hand over hers. You want to die? Be my guest, but you're not taking me with you. The girl's eyes welled up with tears. She turned away from me, appealing to the group. We found shelter together. That has to mean something. We can't just leave her to die. Today it's her out there. Tomorrow, it could be one of us. I rubbed my temples, fighting a surge of frustration. God damn it. Of all the times to run into a saint, they say in a crisis, you take out the idealist first. Well, before I could act, a tall, well-built guy stepped up. He was holding a bright orange Nerf gun, probably grabbed from a shelf, as if for protection. He spoke to the girl girl, look, you open the door just a crack, let her slip in, I'll stand guard, if anything looks wrong I'll shoot. I let out a short, humorless laugh. He was acting like his plastic toy was an AR-15. I glanced at a nearby counter, a box cutter lay there, not enough to handle 2 idiots, but they were quick. The pregnant woman, Brenda, was inside in a flash, but she didn't seem relieved. Instead, she pressed herself against the glass, her eyes fixed on the fast food joint across the way, the Burger Reef. We found out later her husband and child were trapped in there. Brenda told us that in the chaos, her husband and son had been shoved into the Burger Reef by the crowd. Someone had locked the door from the inside. No matter how much Brenda and her husband pleaded, they wouldn't open it, so Brenda had come to us. It's okay, the saintly girl, Haley, said proudly. Most of us here are good people. We won't turn our backs on you. The guy with the Nerf gun, Gavin, nodded dumbly beside her. Layton grabbed my hand, her voice choked with tears. Cass, what are we going to do? Are we going to die here? Mom and Dad must be so worried. I'm so scared. Cass, her crying grated on my already raw nerves. Shut up, I snapped. The word echoed in the sudden silence. Not just Layton, but everyone in the shop went quiet. Haley shot me a look of pure contempt. So selfish, she doesn't even care about her own sister. I ignored her, my thumb hovering over my phone screen, trying to call 911 again. The line was perpetually busy, but what else could I do? I kept dialing. Layton stopped crying, huddling beside me like a frightened bird. TSK, so annoying. Why did I agree to bring her here today? Just because she got into Yale? Just because she was Mom and Dad's golden child? All she did in a crisis was cry. Useless. Like so many times before, I regretted being born as Layton's sister. If I'd been an only child, life would be so much simpler, but I couldn't deny the pang of guilt I felt after snapping at her. She was still my blood. Right now, she was the only one I could truly trust. With a sigh, I turned away from her, using my free hand to awkwardly ruffle her hair. Just then, my phone buzzed with a new text. It was the same unknown number, Trust N01. What did that mean? My hand froze on Layton's head. Suddenly, a piercing scream came from the Burger Reef across the way. It was like a single drop of blood hitting the water. In an instant, the scream spread throughout the entire park. Through the 2 layers of glass, I could vaguely see someone inside the restaurant leap up and savagely bite into another person's neck. Then another person did the same. Soon, the locked glass doors of the fast food joint were streaked with blood. A small, pale hand was bang